Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to WSSR Roasted Gem Cup Series action on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight, the drivers get prepared for race number 6 of the season as they come to the Semi-Pro Sim Racer Shootout 200 at Bristol, and the drivers getting prepared for the last great Coliseum. Currently qualifying underway. Drivers have 2 laps, put down their fastest time within 5 minutes is their window to put down those fast times. As drivers are hitting the track, we get you prepared for tonight's race. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is going to be Joshua Altus. Josh, tonight certainly should be a good one. We got to see a first-time winner last week in that of Brandon Colley, finally getting his first win after being here since Season 1. Finally gets it done in Season 7. But tonight, who knows what we're going to find.
Oh, Sam, I've been waiting for this one all week. It's Bristol, baby, and it's going to be just that, man. It's going to be super exciting. Had a great race last week, like you said, Brandon Colley pulling that first win. Could someone else in the field get their first win tonight? It's going to be fun to watch this and see, what happens tonight.
We're excited for it, and for these drivers this evening, the big thing is how close can you be on time. During practice, we had our top 16 all within 1/10 of one another, and some were just about putting identical times in. But for qualifying currently right now, it's the 17 of Chris Stitz with the fastest time. As we look here at the 74, going to be seeing Nick Crawford. What speed will the 74 have for himself? First time for himself was around that, a 15-second time, but it got dropped to a 14.8. Now currently for the 74, just putting in practice laps, and honestly, Josh, this might be the smartest thing for the 74 at this current moment.
Yeah, I mean, why not run a couple extra practice laps while you're out there, right, and just get a feel for the track. One thing I saw, I think as the night goes on, this track is going to get cooler and cooler, which you would think would mean more grip. So I think look for these guys to maybe be a little on edge to begin with, and then as the night goes on, that track starts getting some rubbered in, temperature comes down, have a little more grip to work with.
It's been interesting to watch the change and the ebbs and the flows with this vehicle, the Gen 4 car. The drivers are running higher horsepower than the ARCA machines that we've seen in other leagues run in the past, but with the extra grip means extra speed, and we could actually see a little bit of a change on maybe a little bit more slipping and sliding because the tire wear has been changing up. Here comes the 9 machine. It's Shane Terrian trying to put down his fast time. First lap not going to be the fastest for himself. It's 14.96, but his second lap hoping to be a little bit faster. No, this 9 enjoys running at Bristol. Currently our points leader, and across the line a little bit sideways, but maximizing the speed, but only able to move up into the top 20. Shane Terrian up to 19th. Josh, that's showing this strength of the field is very hard to get up front.
And to your point, Sam, I mean, Shane Terrian, he's sitting P19 on the board right now. That's less than 0.2 of a second off our provisional pole sitter right now in Chris Stitz, who ran a 14.76. So yeah, these times are going to be so close, and just that little slip up like we just saw from Shane could cost him several positions on the grid.
And some drivers that found speed during practice, not top of the board. The fastest during practice was Benjamin Nelson. The second fastest is this 7 of Douglas Newbigging coming across the line for his second time. Will the 7 be able to top the board? As you look at the ticker board, doesn't look to be advancing in any more speed. 15th position for the second fastest during practice.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking, toward the end of the leaderboard here. I mean, middle of the pack, Douglas Newbigging, you just said P15, Zachary Hall, P16 right now, Joshua Kanata 17th. I mean, Ken Campbell down in 20th, Tyrion down to 21st, Nelson 23rd. I mean, there's a lot of really fast guys back mired in the middle of the pack right now, Sam.
They're back in the middle of the pack, and that means they're in the danger zone, as it looks like the rest of the field going to be staying on where they're at currently. And as this gives us time, we'll give a shout out to our amazing sponsor, starting off with our title sponsor being Roasted Gems Coffee. Go get your premium coffee today using the promo code WSSR for 5% off. They've got plenty wide range of selection of flavors, as well as some great merch that you can find yourself with, t-shirts, hats, mugs, and more. Go to roastedgems.com to get your coffee and merch today. Remember, use a promo code of WSSR, and as well, big shout out to Trophy Smack. Could be the envy of your competition. getting yourself a championship belt, trophy, ring, or more, go to TrophySmack.com. With fantasy football right around the corner, why not get your trophy at Trophy Smack? Remember to use promo code either WSSR Cup or WSSR Smack if you're getting yourself a wall smack. Both will be 10% off at TrophySmack.com. And as we're done with the sponsors, let's get ourselves ready for qualifying is finished. It's time for the race here tonight, and the drivers are stacked up on pit road and ready to get rolling. And as always, as it's been for the last couple of seasons, huge shout out to Brandon Colley's mom for being the qualifying results sponsor. As again, gotta give props to Brandon Colley, have to be the proudest mom in the world last week, seeing her son get his first win of the season. The one, not the best qualifying here at Bristol, but we'll see how he can conquer the night. Taking the pole award, gonna be the 17 of Chris Ditz. Cole Sketty gonna be in second. Ross Tatum, big penalty for the 21. He'll have to come off of that penalty. Will be starting on pit road. Watch out if he's going to be multiple laps down once we go green. Fourth's going to be Larry Yingling in the 67. John Forbes in fifth. Sixth goes to Isaiah Sutherland. James Heater in seventh. Aaron Krolick eighth. Ninth goes to Nick Crawford. And Brian P. Johnson finishing out our top 10.
Driver starting just outside the top 10, you alluded it to, Sam, could be the danger zone here. Starting 11th, Christopher Norris. 12th will be Cedric Hunter. 13th, Danny Cochran. 14th, Ollie Fonseca. 15th is going to be Douglas Newbigging. 16th will be Zach Hall. 17th, Joshua Kanata. 18th, Thomas Walter. 19th, Brian Noel. And running out the top 20 will be Ken Campbell.
Then in 21st position, it's our points leader coming into Bristol, Shane Tarian in the 9. 22nd position is going to be Brad Delph in the 6. Benjamin Nelson, who got the pole last week, going to be starting all the way back in 23rd position. Steven Stimpian back for his second race in the 8, going to be starting in 24th. 25th is going to be Brandon Zimmerman in the 65. Noel Hicks is going to be in 26th. With that of Jonathan Cogswell in 27th and 27 machine. Brandon Colley has fallen all the way down to 28th spot with Christopher Wade in 29th. 30th goes to that of Dakota Moniz, and finished out the last four drivers. Going to be Brian with an I. Johnson in 31st position, Bob Skinner in 32nd, and James Kaufman and Devin Brock. Going to be your 34 drivers here this evening. Josh, plenty of drivers set up and prepared for tonight's race. 200 laps. Competition caution at the end of lap 60. They've got 5 extra sets of tires to work with in pit road here tonight. But the big change, there's a fast repair for these drivers this evening.
Yeah, the fast repair is something these guys normally don't get to rely on. So you're hoping you're not going to need to use it. But I guess the big question is, when are you going to use it? With short track racing, we know there's going to be a lot of tight battles, a lot of bumps and dings along the way. So, if I'm one of those drivers, I'm thinking I want to hold on to that fast repair as long as I can, if it's something major toward the end of the race.
Another thing we said to watch out for, weather conditions. The sun is setting, the lights are about to click on. Ambient temperature going to be 86 degrees, track temp 89 to start the race off. There's a little bit of a wind from 5 to 10 miles per hour that's been bouncing back and forth. We'll see how it changes throughout this evening. But it's Chris Ditz, Cole Sketty going to be your front two drivers that have had some unfortunate luck in other series that they've ran here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But tonight, a great way to start out. Being up front, track position could be the key. With pace car off, it's time for the semi-pro Sim Racer Show Shootout 200 to go green. And drivers, a little bit of stack up on the inside of the outside lane. Here we go, as it's going to be the 42 of Cole Sketty rolling on the outside.
Yeah, noticed Chris Ditz did not get a great launch right there. I don't know if that was something that was planned or he just didn't get rolling, but Saketti's jumping out to the lead here.
Sticks it to the lead, and immediately Larry Yingling not waiting for anybody. From 4th to the lead position is the 67. We're going to be seeing a lot of movement, the grooves at this track. You got the inside, outside lane. Which one is going to be better suited for these drivers? Currently, it's going to be for a leader, the outside lane. Middle of the pack, though, is drivers still trying to find that comfortability. Where can you slot in, and how do you want to react with these drivers? We're already 4 laps in of 200. Again, if we do not have a yellow before lap 60, then we will see a yellow at the end of that lap, which will be our competition caution. No bonus points to be grabbed, but the chaos already showing here in the middle of this pack. This is just outside of the top 10 that we're seeing on screen.
Yeah, that's the danger zone we talked about, Sam. That 15th place area. This is kind of your comers and goers area where the two collide. And like you said, Sam, we're clicking off laps 15 seconds per lap right now, so a lot of stuff happens really quick here at Bristol.
And as Larry Yingling has been our leader for the majority of these first 5 laps, we wanted to give an update on Ross Tatum, again, who was able to qualify, but because of penalized after being involved in not holding a brake last week, the 21 was forced to come into pit road and start in pit road at the start of the green instead of being out on track with the grid. Currently 9.5 seconds off our leader, but at least is on the lead lap, so the 21 can take that as a grace.
Yeah, that's really really impressive, honestly, to start from pit road and to not even go a lap down yet. And Ross was really fast in qualifying. I think he would have been about third on the grid if I remember correctly. So keep an eye on this 21. We'll see if he can pick his way through the field.
Going to be trying to pick his way as we're right on board with the 32 of Zach Hall, trying to get by Thomas Waltzer and following in the tracks of the 9 of Shane Terrian. These drivers trying to make their way forward. Shane Terrian already up 4 spots. Zach Hall has dropped 3 positions, so it's already starting to see 2 mentalities. Either you fall back quickly, give up those track position, and hope you can take it back later, or get aggressive now, as we're seeing from the 9.
Yeah, it looks like Zach Hall's just kind of trying to settle in here, getting a rhythm, feel out the track, maybe take care of those tires early, and just kind of get a feel for things right now. And he's saying, "Go ahead, you guys go ahead and use your stuff up, and I'll see you in about 20 laps."
As coming off of last week, Darlington drivers were hoping for some better runs than what they had some massive wrecks with drivers being involved. But tonight, the last great Coliseum Bristol, we're already further into this race in a blink of an eye. And close your eyes, these drivers are finishing up a lap every 15 seconds, which is crazy to see on a track that's just a half a mile. Josh, I know that you've driven this track plenty of times in other vehicles. I don't know if you've driven in the Gen 4 car, but this track is a handful at all times.
Yeah, I'm about to experience it tomorrow, Sam, as we'll be here at Bristol in the Stars and Stripes series tomorrow. But yeah, I did a couple practice laps before the race, and these Gen 4 cars, they're just so fun to drive, and there's a lot of different driving styles you can do in here. You can kind of charge the corner, get hard on the brakes, or you can lift a little early and kind of just let the banking catch you and not use as much brake. And I think that's going to be the best way to go if you're trying to save tire, is to try to use as little brake as possible instead of heating up your tires. So we'll see. And we have our first caution out tonight.
First caution of the day, and it's the 08 of Brian with an I. Johnson, and the 08 machine parked on the inside of the front stretch as everyone's going to drive by Brian there. And I think this is going to be a simple just spin out, self spin coming out of the corner. And that's going to be something we talk about a lot throughout the night, is drivers getting very close off the exit. And watch out here, it's going to be the 82 of Bob Skinner, the 08 of Johnson. Side by side, they just squeeze into one another, and that slight contact gets the 08 around. And we could be seeing more incidents like that throughout the night, but our first caution of the day comes out on lap 15.
Yeah, that's a very common issue here at Bristol, that outside car kind of bouncing off the wall a little bit, and if you're on the inside, I mean, there's just nowhere to go, and that car bounces off the wall, gets in on the inside car, and you're just kind of along for the ride at that point.
And with that first incident, coming into the night, I think there was always that thought in the back of your mind of this race could be a caution-filled type of an evening, just because of the type of wrecks that we've seen just in our first 5 races this season. A lot of when you give a bumper and bump, your front bumper to someone's rear end, usually you either spin out that front driver or both drivers spin out. Being here at Bristol, that is so known for a bump and run, getting the driver moved out of the way, I'm just curious, Josh, if we're going to see anyone attempt a bump and run just because of how unstable these vehicles have looked so far at the beginning of the season.
Well, not only unstable, Sam, but just, I mean, if you look on screen, just the way the front bumper and the back bumper, they don't line up very well at all. So that front bumper, it's almost like a snow shovel in a way if you get up under that back bumper, and it can really like lift the rear tires off the ground, and it's really, really easy to get that driver all out of shape in front of you. So you've got to be really, really careful if you're going to kind of apply the bump and run method, because if you mistime it just a little bit, could easily be wrecking that car in front of you, and you might get caught up in it as well.
And drivers are hoping that they do not get caught into any instances as these caution laps can click off quickly and get us back to green flag racing just as fast. Also, you saw the race control report come up. There will no longer be a competition caution at the end of lap 60 because of the fact we just had this yellow. Competition caution is only in effect when there is no yellow flag before the lap that is given for the caution. So now, Josh, we could see this race go clean and green to the very end. At Bristol is very rare to have that type of a scenario, but it is possible, just highly improbable for tonight's race.
Yeah, if I'm a betting man, Sam, I'm gonna say we're gonna have some more cautions here. Like you said, it is possible, but not necessarily probable. And one thing we need to note as well, we talked about Ross Tatum staying on the lead lap there from that penalty. This caution helps that 21 car. He'll be able to catch up to the field now, so it'll be interesting to see if he can start picking his way through the field as well.
And he's going to be in the back, leading the drivers that did not come into pit road. We had a cluster that did. That's going to be led by Ken Campbell, Brandon Colley, Nick Crawford, as well as Christopher Norris, Jonathan Coxwell, Benjamin Nelson, Devin Brock, Bob Skinner, all coming into pit road to get service done. Ryan Johnson was not able to get rolling before the leaders passed him, so the 08 will be the only driver one lap down. He's going to need a caution to get back onto the lead lap, but the pace car lights are off. It's time to get back to racing. As the pace car pulls off into pit road, it's time for the semi-pro sim racer shootout 200 to get back underway, and Larry Yingling shot off like a cannon. He's already 4 car lengths ahead.
What a massive start by Larry Yingling. He kind of caught the field sleeping there. I don't know if those guys were ready or what, but Larry is on the gas and ready to go.
And already on his back bumper instantly is the 11 at John Forbes out of nowhere. Qualified 5th and now is going to be on the back bumper as Cole Sketty inside lane looks to be the slower spot to be as it's the 67 and the 11. 1-2 with Cole Sketty just lingering in 3rd.
Yeah, that's what's going to be fun to watch, Sam, with this progressive banking on Bristol. There's so many different lines you can run. And right now, between Larry Yingling and John Forbes, they're electing to run the top. As I say that, John Forbes is going to try to use the bottom right here. But so many multi-lanes you can choose from, and it's going to be interesting to see, what lane's going to be the quickest.
And to get a sense of what it's like in the middle of the pack, this is battling for 10th place right now on board the back bumper of the 28 of Brian P. Johnson, looking at the Hello Kitty machine of Cedric Hunter in the pink. Didn't get to show off the pink machine a lot last week as he was caught up in the early collisions, but hey, as some drivers going back to the classics is Cedric Hunter as he's being battled by Ollie Fonseca, and as well seeing other drivers on the move. Biggest one inside of our top 10, Danny Cochran in the 2 machine.
Yeah, Danny Cochran, Cedric Hunter, Ollie Fonseca, all these guys starting to move forward just a little bit. They all qualified a little outside the top 10, and they're just now entering the top 10, so keep an eye on this group.
Making their way forward, but as a pack, who is saving tires and who's not? Larry Yingling continues to decide to run the outside lane, while you're seeing here the middle of the pack feeling confident on the bottom through the corners. And I'm trying to figure out where the speed is at. It's going to be interesting throughout the night. 200 laps seems like a lot of laps for these drivers, but like we've seen so far, these laps can tick away in an instant if you're not careful.
Yeah, especially as, if we get into a little bit of a green flag run here. I mean, it'll be no time at all. I mean, we're already on lap 29. I mean, we'll be at lap 50 before we know it, and that'll be a quarter way through the race.
As we're seeing our top 5 drivers going to Larry Yingling, John Forbes, Cole Sacchetti, and take that away. Second caution of the day. First slightly big one, you could call it, as multiple drivers involved with this one. Benjamin Nelson going to be spun around, and it was a part of the pack of drivers that decided to come into pit road, top off on fuel. Some took tires, and it did not work in that initial launch.
Yeah, I couldn't exactly see what happened here. I'm sure we're maybe try to pull up the replay and see what happened. Here we go.
It's going to be the 25 to watch out here and the 79. Off the exit of the corner, Kaufman drifting up and gets into the 79, and Benjamin Nelson. And as Kaufman comes up, ridden is Christopher Norris getting underneath Nelson. That turns the 79 around, and the number 1 trying to slow down, able to get around on the outside. Same for Brock. And that's what's going to bring out our second caution of the day.
Yeah, that's a big impact there for the 79 as well as Norris. Looks like it looks like this car just kind of washed up. Maybe didn't know that the 79 had a big run right there. Maybe just didn't quite realize. And things happen so fast here, Sam. I mean, we're talking about 15-second laps, and I mean you're off the corner in 5 seconds or less sometimes. So it's runs happen really quick, and if you hesitate, I mean things happen in a hurry here.
They certainly do. Honestly, you need almost a full straightaway to have any time to react. If it happens directly in front of you, you don't have a chance to slow down. Like we saw there, Christopher Norris, even if he slammed on the brakes and tried to slow down as quickly as you can, he was most likely going to run into that 79 in that incident. And it's just a tough spot to be, especially for Benjamin Nelson, who we thought this season was going to be one of the heavy favorites to watch out for. Luckily, he got his win back at Las Vegas for race number 3 of the season. But Benjamin Nelson has been trying to find some type of holding onto, as the last couple of weeks have not been in the favor of the 79.
Yeah, it's just the consistency has been hard to come by so far for Benjamin Nelson. Like you said, Sam, he got that win. He showed a lot of speed every week, but he just seems to kind of be at the wrong spot, wrong time at a lot of these places, and ends up having to kind of fight from behind.
And once we see the 79 caught up in traffic, it just seems like it goes from bad to worse, hoping that luck can transfer and change up in some fashion. But up front, still Larry Yingling, John Forbes going to be your front 2, Cole Sacchetti, Isaiah Sutherland, then it's Aaron Crowley finishing out your top 5. Chris Stitz has fallen from the lead position down to 6. Danny Cochran, like we said, biggest mover so far inside of our top 10, up 6 positions, with Brian P. Johnson, Ollie Fonseca, and Douglas Newbigging being your top 10 currently. And a lot of drivers moving forward into our top 10, which is kind of surprising. I think that's the call for a lot of these drivers. Get up front. The track position has been key, and that has been the key for our 2 winners for the only 2 times we've been here in the past in WSSR. Back in season 3, it was Larry Yingling that won. Now that was back when they were in the Gen 4 Cup car, but Larry led the most laps and won the race. And then the last time they were here back in season 5, it was Vincent Sora who got the pole, led the most laps, and got to victory lane. So it seems to be a trend of lead the most laps and you're going to win the race, and Larry's trying to do that right now.
Yeah, track position's always going to be key at any short track, but at Bristol, where it's so hard to pass, things are happening so quick, and the only thing you have to worry about if you're a leader is getting off strategy a little bit when it's time to pit. So Larry's going to keep it up front as long as he can, I'm sure.
Pace car is off, and it's a quick into the restart zone as Larry Yingling once again just getting the better launch on the outside, feeling a lot more comfortable to get back into the throttle. But it's the exit of turn 2 where we've been seeing the speed on the outside carry forward as Isaiah Sutherland now moves up into second.
I've been really, really impressed with Isaiah Sutherland the last couple of weeks, and here he is up front again. He's going to take that second position on the top side.
And we've seen Sutherland in past series that we used to call way back in the day, and Isaiah Sutherland now becoming to be a more consistent threat since he debuted, and it has been a joy to watch this 14 being up front. Cole Sacchetti, though, seems to be on the aggressive as the 42 no longer wants to just settle on losing positions. It's get up front and make some moves as that outside lane just looks so quick. That momentum is wild to see on these closing rates.
Yeah, you can see that launch that they get, off the corner there. And keep an eye on Cole Sacchetti. This is one of his favorite racetracks. Doesn't matter what type of car he's in, he's always someone that's going to be toward the front and that you got to talk about when we're at Bristol.
And Cole Sacchetti going to be trying his best, currently tied 4th in points. He's got 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and hoping to grab another top 10 and top 5 for himself and maybe get that first victory of the season for himself here tonight. Up front, though, it is still Larry Yingling leading the way. 14 is Isaiah Sutherland settling, but it's Brian P. Johnson who's on the move on the outside lane, who has moved up to 4th.
Brian P. Johnson has had a tough last couple of weeks with having some equipment failure issues, so I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood while I'm talking about it and pray and hope that he doesn't have any more issues, because he's been pretty fast every week, Sam. He just can't seem to catch a break with his equipment lately.
No, he can't. Comes in tonight 10th in points as Brian, also a former champion in the WSSR, was the inaugural season champion for season 1. And this 28 has had so many opportunities, has made it to the Final 4 for the past couple of seasons, and just every single season he's in the fight. And as one of the most winningest drivers in the series, this 28 machine wants to get back to victory lane, fighting his way forward. And Cole Sacchetti, we thought he was going to be fighting forward, but it looks to be a little bit more of a settle and hold stage for that of the 42 currently.
Yeah, a couple heat cycles now on these tires, so You know, he may be just kind of laying back here and trying to take care of his tires. You know, we'll see how long of a run we get here as we're approaching lap 45 already.
Other drivers that have been making some big moves as we've been gaining a sense on what it's like to run here at Bristol. Brian running that much lower line, but you could just see the tenseness of these drivers through the corners trying to hold steady. The exit is when they start working that wheel the most. As Isaiah Sutherland ducking down low in that picture, you can see going for the lead is the 14.
Yeah, Isaiah Sutherland's really, really trying to make that bottom work, but the only risk you run is if you stay there a little too long. You can see John Forbes close right up on his bumper there. He's looking again, trying to pull alongside, and you've really got to have a really, really strong run to make this work and almost try to throw a slide job on there on the leader. But Larry England's holding strong on the top side so far, and now watch, John Forbes is going to move up in second here because he's got the preferred lane.
He's going to just slot right in and force the 14 to stay down low, not able to move up where he can really carry his momentum, and this could be hurting. But the big thing for Isaiah Sutherland is at least he's keeping it close. He's not allowing to see the 11 make this pass initially. He's been having some great runs. Update for drivers deeper in the field. Benjamin Nelson has called it a night. The 79 once again finishing in the back half of the field.
Yeah, it's tough to see, Sam. We just talked about it, and I know that is not going to be the result that he was hoping for tonight. Always seems fast in practice and qualifying, and qualified a little deeper than probably he wanted to tonight. Was part of that strategy. As we see, the 25 had some issues there. Yeah, just wasn't the night for Benjamin Nelson, unfortunately.
It really wasn't, as Brandon Colley getting into the mix of the hornet's nest of the field. You're seeing them stacked 2 by 2, 5, 6 rows deep. This middle of the pack is a danger zone to be in. You've got drivers on about 15 lap fresher tires than others. Some drivers that have just been losing the grip. We've seen 3 wide in the pack and this back pack, and we've also seen some just trying to force any type of issue to go forward, but it's been a constant just stalling motion for everyone in this group, and this is looking like a buildup of potential chaos for these drivers in the back. But as the chaos is running back here, it's been dominance up front, as it's Brian P. Johnson. He has moved up from 4th, now up to 2nd in a blink of an eye. This 28 looking like the fastest driver out on track and could be the threat to try to take the lead from Larry Yingling.
Yeah, you can see the fall off starting to happen now, and now it's John Forbes that kind of got washed to the bottom. Looks like he's gonna try to force his way in line, and Isaiah Sutherland gonna try to go back to the bottom and keep on working. But yeah, Brian P. Johnson looks really fast right now. He's 2nd, and he's the closest we've seen anyone to our leader tonight.
Hopping on board with the 2 of Danny Cochran's front bumper as he tries to follow in line with John Forbes as they are trying to get through this chaos and just get into some type of space where you're not feeling claustrophobic. But it's hard when you always have a driver to your inside, as we're seeing from in front of the 2, the battle for the lead, and it's a constant kind of looking like deja vu. You can catch up to Larry Yingling, but making the pass seems like it's the hardest thing to do right now.
And that's the problem with those cars that are mired back in the field, Sam, that we just talked about. That was all 20th on back that are stuck back there, and there's just nowhere to go. You can be fast, but man, like, it is so hard to make a pass on somebody. As you can see now, Brian P. Johnson paying for it. He's stuck on the bottom, going to try to slot himself up in 3rd. John Forbes goes back to 2nd now.
The one driver that is in the mix of this front pack, top 11 are in this group. The 74 of Nick Crawford could be the main driver to watch out for. Main reason why, he was part of the drivers that in our first 14 laps decided to take a fresh set of tires. They've gotten 5 in pit road to work with. 74 is hoping that this fresh rubber can get him moving forward. The next closest driver with fresh rubber is going to be Ross Tatum, back in 17th place, who has the freshest tires on track.
Yeah, not a bad call from these guys at all, especially if we can get some green flag laps in. That tire difference is really going to make a difference the later in the run we get.
And right now, single filing out for our front, about 4 or 5 drivers. It's going to be Cole Sketty. He's going to be the first to duck it down low, as Nick Crawford's just trying to muscle his way forward as much as he can. And as we talk about this field, green flag racing, and always a factor we have to talk about in a long run is lap traffic. We could be getting into that factor if drivers aren't careful, is because we are about 20 laps away from seeing lap traffic be a big hindrance to our leaders, as we see the middle of this group is still getting pretty mixy, as 9th on back we're seeing on screen.
Yeah, if we think things are exciting now, Sam, just wait till our leaders catch the tail end of the pack. You want to talk about chaos happening, and it's who can get through the lap traffic the quickest and the smoothest. It just adds a whole nother layer to you know, trying to be up front here at Bristol.
It really does. Hopping on board with the 8 machine of that of Steven Stimpian. Stimpian, the biggest mover of all drivers out on track, up 12 spots for himself as he's trying to make the charge up front, but he's dealing with drivers who got fresh rubber. He's also got a wall in front of him that's really going nowhere. But this 8, this is the best run he could ask for after last week being taken out early at Darlington for his first race of the season, and now for his second at Bristol. Not the 2 funnest tracks, you could say, to have your start of season 7.
Yeah, Steven Stimpian doing a really good job here, just kind of sidling inside the top 15. Oh, gets a little touch of the wall right there as I say that, so hopefully he can hang on
boy,
here.
they are 3 wide up front, though, battling for 5th place. Danny Cochran stuck in the middle. Brian P. Johnson on the outside. Nick Crawford, fresh rubber on the inside, forcing the issue, and somehow they make it through. And as a lead group, you don't want to see 3 wide very often. They're 3 wide, even back for 9th place, as that of Isaiah Sutherland is getting trapped. And I think the fresh rubber, we were talking about it, at some point there's going to be a major swing. I think it's finally crest over.
It almost looks like a super speedway at a short track, Sam. I mean, it's just a convention belt going around of cars here. And yeah, to your point, the fresh rubber is really starting to make a difference here. You can see Nick Crawford really starting to make his way forward on the bottom here.
Ross Tatum's the next driver. Ken Campbell's another driver with fresh rubber trying to make his moves. But the 01, Varen Kralik, he's been doing a great job of just surviving at this time. And another couple of drivers got to be careful of in the mix. 77, that's going to be Brian Noel, who just came into pit road and has zero regard. He's trying to just march his way forward. And Noel currently right now has over 65 lap fresher tires. He's in the mix of lead lap traffic. And the 77, this is about to get very dangerous with the way he's driving through this field.
Yeah, you got to be really, really careful here. With such a huge difference in tires, he's just got to be really patient right here, and because he's going to want to get back on the throttle a lot sooner than these leaders can. So just got to be patient and pick your way through as clean as you can.
And now it's a little bit of double duty because our lead lap drivers just caught up the lap traffic in front of them. So you've got extremely slow drivers, you've got the lead pace, and then you've also got the 77 who's got the freshest tires. We're about to squeeze 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide for a quick second. 3 wide is not comfortable here at Bristol, but they got to force the issue as they're trying to get by Brock in the 91 and soon to be getting by that of Thomas Walter in the 57. And it is not looking good, but the opportunities at Bristol has given John Forbes the lead.
Sam, I am on the edge of my seat. We're not even halfway yet. This racing is absolutely incredible. We got the lap car in the midst. We got fresher tires. We've got older tires. We're running 3 wide. Oh, my goodness.
They're going to be 3 wide, 2 rows deep. As Noel's going to make contact with Nick Crawford. Crawford down on the apron. 74 holds on. They're stacked 4 wide for a quick moment, but they continue to keep it straight.
I don't know how we didn't wreck there, Sam. I mean, what a great job by Nick Crawford hanging on right there. The 77 is trying to make hay with these tires, and man, he sure has. He's about to come unlapped the hard way.
Huge, gonna be slight contact behind, and it's friends that are gonna make the contact. It's Steven Stimpian and Zach Hall that finally get the contact that spins out the 32, and you had a feeling with how much it was ramping up. It was the chain reaction, the accordion effect that finally just rippled to the back. And we had our 3rd caution of the day and a much needed cool down phase for these drivers.
Sam, I think that's a cool down needed for us too. I gotta catch my breath. I mean, oh my goodness. And yeah, golly, it looks like Zach just maybe checked up a little sooner than the 8 thought. Maybe a combination of the 8 running in a little too deep and just gets in the back of Zach Hall and turns him around right there. Definitely not where I thought the caution was going to come from, though, Sam.
Absolutely not. I mean, we got to see Nick Crawford's incredible save, drivers that were just powering their way forward, but we're going to take another look at it. The 8 of Steven Stimpian. Again, this is an accordion effect. We got drivers that are still 3 wide and trying to blow up, but that extra jab on the brakes by Zach trying to get by Hicks was what really checked up in front of the 8. Contact, spin out, but luckily it was middle contact, and drivers now are going to be able to take off, and it's going to keep those 2 at least still in the lead lap as they were able to turn around in time. And the whole field into pit road, 4 tires and fuel which is a good time for us to just gonna keep the deep breath, a couple of deep breaths here. I gotta say, Josh, that was, I knew it was gonna get intense because these cars are such a driver's machine where you can save it, like we saw a couple of times there. But I don't know how they saved it being 3 wide and a stack 4 wide at one moment.
Tim, I'm telling you, I think I had to catch my breath more watching that than if I was in the car. I mean, when you're in the car, you're just kind of fixated on what you're doing. But when you're up here and you watch all of this, I mean, it really is incredible driving by these guys, and I think it just highlights again the series and the talent level that's in here to be able to race that aggressively but cleanly all at the same time. And like we said, I really didn't think the caution was going to come from back there. Running 3 and 4 wide up front, the difference of tires, and we got the caution. We can take a deep breath, reset, and now everyone's going to be back on the same tire sequence. So we'll be able to see, who's fast. But it looks like Larry Yingling is going to be one to beat. But John Forbes was able to take advantage as they caught the traffic right there and get out front.
And that's kind of the beauty of Bristol. It's a lot of, yes, when it's clean air, you can kind of tell who's the fastest driver. But the factor of lap cars, those on fresher tires, those on old tires, and that mix and mingle of how do you really drive your way through that chaos, enable John Forbes to get the lead, Danny Cochran, as well as Cole Sketty able to get in front of the 67. But we've seen the outside lane be the more preferred spot, and Larry Yingling started the race in 4th and immediately shot to the lead within 2 laps. So I wouldn't be surprised at 6-7. It's a pretty similar move here on this restart.
Yeah, definitely looks like the high lane is the dominant line right now, Sam. And you can just get such a strong run off the corner and such momentum down the straightaways. And man, I mean, it's so hard to pass, right? Because I mean, if the top is the dominant line, you've got to go down to the bottom to pass. So yeah, we'll see who can hang on and get that clean air.
Well, hopefully you're enjoying Bristol, because technically tonight is the start of a trilogy of Bristol action. We got tonight for the WSSR, we got tomorrow night for Stars and Stripes, and then Monday night we got the trucks here at Bristol. So get ready for some Bristol action as we're back to green flag racing, and John Forbes enabling his teammate to hold back the 67. And here we go, as it's going to be the teammates of the 11 of John Forbes, Danny Cochran in line, taking off into turn 3.
Yeah, really good orchestrated start between the teammates right there. Able to get John out front, allows Danny to slide up to second, and they're both got the preferred line and running 1-2.
1-2 in line. Quick caution, though, as it's going to be the 0-1 of Kralik, and oh no! They just pile in late in the center of 1 and 2. And it went from just a 1-car spin stuck on the outside to now multiple drivers could be seeing their nights being done as Brad Delph looked to be the driver that piled in late. Again, Kralik's night, and I mean, in an instant, not surprised, drivers were gonna get very antsy. And looking at it, looks like Kralik might have spun out on his own, and the rest of the field just no way to slow down in time.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty innocent looking spin to begin with, and then it looked like he just absolutely got clobbered by someone a little further back in the pack. Just gets a little loose there, self-spin. And
right there.
Oh, yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah, and Zach Hall gets caught up in it again.
And Chris Stitz was the other driver that phased through. Zach Hall getting rear-ended and then piling in late. Multiple drivers, but with required damage, it goes to the 0-1 of Eric Kralik and Brad Delph, as you get to see from Zach Hall's point of view. Now, Zach Hall also is going to get rear-ended on this incident, as he's going to pile in, get into Stitz, who then goes through, and then also gets tapped, hit by, I believe that was the 1 of Colley, and a lot of drivers piling in it. And this is what Bristol can turn into, is, drivers getting a little bit antsy on restarts, recognizing, hey, if we're going to make moves, we kind of have to make them early with the way that these tires are feeling. And on top of that, if you make a mistake just like that, it could be finding yourself spinning out. I'm curious if that was a brake bias situation for the 0-1 with the way that he entered and the way that rear end kicked out.
Yeah, it very well could have been, and just on cold tires in general, Sam. I mean, after you've been running a long time, you got the heat built up in the tires, you're used to how the car feels, and then you go put 4 fresh tires on there. The temperatures aren't quite up yet, and can be really easy to get out from under you.
Well, as these drivers pacing around, gotta give us time to shout out the amazing sponsors that help out here at the WSSR, as we're almost halfway shouting out our title sponsor being Roasted Gems Coffee. Roasted Gems Coffee talked about their variety of different flavors they have. Well, they also have max caffeine flavors to make sure that you are fully awake and alert for your day, or with school right around the corner, maybe trying to help you stay awake through the night to get studies done. And if you're going to be importing any coffee from Roasted Gems, remember to use the promo code WSSR to get 5% off on your purchase today. And Trophy Smack. Talk about a lot of different smacks. Talk a lot about major hits. We've seen some big ones throughout the season so far. I've got a feeling maybe we're not done with the wrecks. If there's a wreck that you think is your favorite, hey, maybe it'll be our wall smack wreck or moment of the race. If you want to go check out what a wall smack is, well, it's a high gloss work of art that allows you to take a custom photo, put it on a metal plate that can be easily placed on the wall with the wall safe magnet mounting system that Trophy Smack has for you. And when you go to trophysmack.com, remember to use promo code WSSR Smack when ordering your wall smack. Thank you to Trophy Smack as well, to Roasted Gems. As the pace car lights are off, we're going green this time by. Saw that of John Forbes, Danny Cochran playing some good games to make sure they get up front. Watch out for that 97 on this restart as John Forbes, the leader, expecting to get a good launch. Can the 97 time it as they exit the corner as we're entering 3? It's time for us to get back to green flag action, because this is only race number 6. Plenty of more action still to go throughout the regular season before we get to the playoffs. And I cannot wait for more of this action we got for you here this evening. Green flag is out. John Forbes, great launch for himself. Danny Cochran able to keep it side by side with Larry Yingling as they exit at turn number 2.
Yeah, really great start again by the teammates and orchestrated to perfection again. John Forbes goes out front. His teammate, Danny Cochran, sleds right behind him in second as they battle for third behind.
Battling against one another for that 3rd to 4th place position. Instead, it's the 74 on the outside. Larry Yingling stuck on the inside groove and just looking like a conveyor belt for this 67, going backwards, trying to slot in the middle, not able to find that comfortable spot, but finally gets the opening right in front of Johnson. And here we go. Can the 97 get back into the fight?
Yeah, the 67 there of Larry Yingling slides up, grabs that 3rd position, and we'll see if he can fight his way back up there. I'm sorry, 4th position, as Nick Crawford's in front of him at 3rd.
Trying to make their ways forward. Also seeing the 7 of Douglas Newbigging moving forward for himself. The 7 was quick during practice session, was the 2nd fastest driver during practice. Didn't qualify as well as we thought he was going to. And instead, he's now trying to march his way into the top 5, but it looks to be a very tough task. And behind him, also have the 9 machine of Shane Terrian, who's been having a great run as a points leader, but it's Nolan Hicks up 16 spots. Our biggest mover right now is the 86th and 10th place.
Yeah, Nolan Hicks doing a really good job just riding here. Just got his way inside the top 10. Could be a Badger before this thing is over.
Qualified in 26th position, didn't get the time that he wanted, but racing conditions and just survival is always the key when you come to Bristol and having a good run. That's currently what that of the 86 is doing currently, as our front runners really gapping at one another. This is kind of bizarre to see. It looks like our front 2 very aggressive on their run, while 3rd on back kind of stacking up and really not giving up any space. They're really looking like they're conserving tires more than anything.
Yeah, you know, we talked about the track temp and it coming down, and as the temperature comes down, there's more grip that's going to be available. I just worry, you know, with the 11 of John Forbes having such a big lead, we saw how much these guys packed up toward the end of that last run, if he might be just using a little too much tire, as we see Larry Yingling go around Nick Crawford for 3rd.
Larry makes that pass for 30 as well. You can see in the top middle, that is going to be our weather conditions so far, as the track temp, actually surprisingly, because we're running green, has moved back up. It was down to 90 degrees when they went to the restart, has climbed back to 92 degrees track temp. Ambient temperature still 86, and that weather and the wind has still been shifting from 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now that is interesting to see there, Josh, on the fact that the track temp actually got hotter as we've been green so far.
Yeah, that is surprising. I was definitely expecting it to continue to cool down, but with these cars ripping around and putting rubber down, I mean, I guess it made sense that it's gone up a little bit.
As there's so many cars on track, currently 32 on track. We have lost another driver to the garage, Aaron Krolick in the 01. Caught up in our last wreck is now done. And from Race Control, Steve Benjamin, thank you so much for everything you do for the WSSR and for Full Send Racing, telling us it's the halfway point of tonight's race. Crazy, we're already halfway done, and we've only had a few cautions, but this field has been putting on what a show so far.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic show so far, Sam, and I think that's probably the urgency that a lot of these guys feel is, we talked about at the top of the broadcast, 200 laps sounds like a lot at Bristol, but when you're clicking off laps 15 seconds a lap, it goes by really, really quick. So, you've got to make your way forward and grab some track position if you're going to have a shot at this thing.
Talked about these two drivers on screen, some of them really moving forward in pretty quick succession on the first 20 laps. Ken Campbell, Cedric Hunter, as Campbell up 7 spots. Hasn't really been able to move up inside of the top 10 just yet. The 15 looks to be stable and trying to just get a top 15 run, which for some drivers is the key. Just get a top 15 run, get those consistent points, and honestly, just getting top 15 finishes every race could get you into the playoffs.
Well, and Ken's a smart driver. I mean, he's not going to put himself in a situation where he feels like he's going to get in trouble. So, I mean, he's comfortable right now. He's settled in running P13. He can see the top 10, so look for him to keep marching his way forward as the race goes on here.
Top 16 drivers going to be able to make the playoffs for themselves, so got to make sure you get that good run. Running on board with the 18 of James Keeter, qualified 7th. Falling back to 15th position. And James Heater, this has been kind of his MO. It seems like a good qualifying time that kind of falls back to the middle for most of the race and then has a decent finish at the end with drivers that are struggling on the long run. So expect to see this 18. He could be on that cusp of making it a top 10 finish if we get a long green flag run. So it looks like everyone pretty settled in. That black and white driver in front going to be Brian with an I. Johnson in 31st position. Had a little bit of a slip up on this last restart, and now is going a lap down. So the field looks to be pretty spread out, very different from what we saw once the chaos started to reign earlier on in the race, right before our third caution of the day.
Yeah, and you can see the difference in lines with James Heater right there running, in 15th, where he's continuing to kind of work that outside lane, and then the cars in front of him are more on the bottom. And right in front of him there is Isaiah Sunderland. It wasn't that long ago, Sam, that we were talking about him challenging for the lead, and he slipped all the way back to P14 now.
Yeah, right when things were getting very chaotic, 3-4 wide at moments here before that yellow flag came out, The 14 really was starting to fall backwards, got in the wrong lanes, costing him positions. He has not been able to rebound since, as this group's trying to get now by the 91 of Devin Brock, who's struggling at this current moment, as he'll be going straight to the outside wall to let this field drive on by. And I mean, it's such a demoralizing feeling, kind of a scary feeling for the backmarker drivers that really are not feeling confident in driving here, or the damage is hindering them. When you're at such a fast track, it does not feel comfortable when you're one of those drivers that are falling back through the field.
No, not at all. I mean, there's absolutely nowhere to hide. I mean, a lot of other tracks you can, say how you're going to hold your lane. And there's a lot of space to kind of maneuver around people. We talk about like mile and a halves and such, but Bristol, there's nowhere to hide. And even if you want to try to, stay out of the way, sometimes you end up getting in the way.
It certainly can happen. A driver forced into pit road, Bob Skinner, looking to have some troubles in the 82, as he'll be taking a tow to pit road and also a black flag for himself. The drivers that are trying to march into our top 20, here's the battle for it. Joshua Kanata in 20th place. We're at that of Brandon Colley, our winner from last week at Darlington, battling side by side. And Joshua Kanata was actually a fast driver during practice, couldn't find the speed in qualifying, and really hasn't been able to move forward as he has been around some of the chaos here this evening.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about Joshua Kanata a lot tonight. I feel like he's one of those cars that's normally toward the front, and running right here, right around the 20th, 21st position. He's working on 20th right now with Colley there. And yeah, just kind of an average night so far for the 16th car, and caution's out.
Trouble for front runners as drivers trying to slow down. And looked to be a big slide that hurt these drivers to slow down. You see the 86 of Hicks trying to drive by, trying to figure out exactly where the spin was. It looked to be Ollie Fonseca and Douglas Newbigging having a little bit of a moment between themselves, but then straightened out just as quickly as the yellow flag was thrown.
All right, now it's decision time, Sam. We got about 40 laps on our tires here. Are you going to come get fresh tires, or are you going to stay out for track position?
If the leader comes in, I'm coming into pit road. If the leader stays out, I'm most likely going to stay out unless I trust everyone behind me is going to come into pit road. It has got to be a group effort, because if you stay out, yes, you're staying in track position, but it's a very risky call. Unless you're someone that's 15th on back, you might want to take that gamble of not coming and staying out and get that track position. But it looks like the field all heading to pit road.
Yeah, pit road is going to be busy here. These guys have plenty of sets to work with. So, and I think partly, Sam, that's why we saw, a relatively tame run there, is because everyone was on the same tire cycle versus the last run where we saw a little differing in strategies there. So these guys going to be coming all the way around. Got to use both pit roads here under caution. And it looks like everyone's going to let to go for 4 tires.
Going to take 4 tires and fuel. So with that, we are going to take a quick commercial break. We hope to be back when the action is rolling off as you are watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series for the Semi-Pro Sim Racer Shootout 200 at Bristol. Thank you for joining with us on your Wednesday evening. We will take again a quick commercial break. When we come back, more Bristol action. They're 5 wide behind her pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at it, that's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck
Oh,
him.
they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. And we are back to green flag action. Brandon Colley decided to stay out in the 1, but he has fallen all the way back to 15th. Old tires compared to the new, showing the big drastic difference. But Larry Yingling, aggressive pass, getting by the 1 and the 2 machine to get back up front. That's John Forbes. Brian P. Johnson going to be side by side. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaking Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Joshua Altus, as we also have Robert Moyer Jr. Ryan Productions in the background. Josh, it's been a good one so far. We're past the halfway marker. We're now into the second half, soon to be the final quarter of this race. And these drivers have been quite aggressive. Right now, it is get all that you can get right now.
Yeah, we're getting close to the pay window opening here, Sam, and Larry Ingley did not waste any time on that restart. Immediately took it 3 wide, got by Brandon Colley, who stayed out on older tires, and he's right where he wants to be now in the field.
And now seeing the 67 trying to get his second Bristol win for himself. He won all the way back in Season 3 when they were in the Gen 6 car, now in the Gen 4. The aggression level, the speed, all lines up to try to get into victory lane. But Danny Cochran, who's coming off of a win from Monday night in the ISRC Truck Series, trying to carry that momentum to get his second win in a different league, which would completely shift all the luck that Danny's been having for the last almost 6 to 8 months. It has been just a downfall for the two. Right now, he is looking quick.
Momentum's a real thing, Sam. Even across different leagues. Like you said, he finally got that win on Monday night, probably boosted his confidence up, and he is not a bad driver here at Bristol at all. I've raced with him here, and he tends to be up front and in contention. So he's got his eyes set on his, or not his teammate, rather his teammate's behind him, but he's got his eyes set on that 67 car right now, trying to move forward.
And other drivers that are trying to move forward. Cole Sketty in 4th place. He's been just settling inside of the top 5 to top 10 for most of the evening. But these drivers back in that of 8th, 9th, 10th position, trying to move forward as a group. But a little bit of a wall side by side is these 86 of Nolan Hicks and Douglas Newbigging, as Douglas has not been able to move forward that much here tonight. We certainly starting to see drivers, their final push to get up front.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lap times here, and everyone is running really, really similar lap times, Sam. So it's really hard to move forward if you're running the same pace as everybody else.
And also, it doesn't help when everyone is on the same, tire strategy. They're all in the same stint. It's based off of how well you've been running on this surge, as biggest mover of the night is the 86 of Nolan Hicks in 9th and 8th position, trying to move up 19 spots if he can get by Brian P. Johnson. Douglas Newbigging's been having a solid run, as well as Cedric Hunter in the 13 machine, back in the pink, and it seems like the luck might have struck finally here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we're not over yet, but Cedric Hunter's definitely doing a really good job running P10 right now in that pink machine. Douglas Newbigging right in front of him, P9, and Nolan Hicks that you just mentioned, and P8, our biggest mover. So those guys all doing a really good job getting themselves in the top 10 and trying to position themselves for the late stages here.
Late stages as we're creeping closer and closer to lap 150, which would be the marking of 3/4 of this race being done in the final little bit. See who could win here at Bristol. Now, these drivers, most of the field have used 2 sets of tires in pit road, and they've also only got 3 sets left to work with continuing forward. And another thing that we haven't talked about at all here tonight, fast repair. The field does have a fast repair to work with, and there's only 2 drivers that have used the fast repair so far, being Brad Delph in 15th position and the 08 of Brian with an eye Johnson, who's in 28th. Everyone else still has a fast repair for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that could be really important as we get down to the end of this thing, Sam, because, if we get a caution in, say, the next 10 to 15 laps, I think that's going to be decision time for a lot of people if you come in pit or not. And, like you said, being right now, everyone on the same strategy, it's kind of calmed things down at the moment.
Calming things down, as well as lap traffic being a little bit of hindrance for some and advancement for others. Riding on board the 8 of Steven Stempian, who earlier in the race was really on the move, but is kind of stalled out as caution flag's gonna wave, and it's issues on the front stretch as it's Brian Noel and others piling in, and 77 getting a couple licks, but the majority of the field, it will slow down in time.
All right, this is just what I was just talking about. I spoke it into existence here, Sam. So now you've got 25 laps on your tires. Not a whole lot, but definitely enough to make a difference. What do you do now? Do you come to pit road?
Well, I know 2 drivers that at least are going to come in, as here's what brought out our most recent yellow. 77, Brian Noel, Ross Tatum. That was the type of incident I was expecting to see a lot here tonight. And as the 77 is not pointing in the right direction, going to be seeing the 16 lifting up the rear end, and everyone else trying to woe down. You see the 9 Shade Terrian really slowing down into the wall. Slight tap from Stempian. Brian with an eye Johnson to the inside, and luckily no one else involved with that incident.
Yeah, that was a really similar incident as we had with the 25 and with Benjamin Nelson earlier. Just talk about the closing rate, and it looked like Ross jumped up and maybe the other car wasn't ready for him to be on the outside and threw a block, and I don't know, just kind of came together. Things happened quick, like we talked about.
Certainly did, and just as quick as they saw the wreck come out, quickly changing who was coming into pit road, everyone but Larry Yingling came into pit road, and that it could be the game changer for the 67, because like you said, going to be on 27 lap older tires than the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's just really unfortunate for Larry Yingling. You're just honestly a sitting duck if you're the leader, because everyone's going to do the opposite of what you decide to do. So if Larry would have pitted there, we probably would have seen a lot of guys stay out. But yeah, it's such a tough position to be as the leader, because everyone's going to do the opposite of what you're going to do. So unfortunately, even if Larry had 5 to 10 people stay out with him, it could still end up being okay. But the fact that nobody stayed out with him, Sam, that's not going to bode well for the 67 here.
I feel like for the longest time growing up and watching real life NASCAR, it was always do whatever the leader, do the opposite of the leader. If they stay out, come into pit road. The whole entire field usually comes into pit road when you watch real life NASCAR. In iRacing, it's a rarity to see a whole field do the opposite of the leader. I think this might be one of the first times I've seen it in my broadcasting history. For me personally, watching this, I've seen the whole pack as a collective making that type of a move.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Sam. I think it's pretty surprising that, if you're running around 15th or so, 15th to 20th, like why not stay out and try to grab some track position? And that's probably what Larry was thinking is, surely I'm going to have some people stay out. So I'm sure he's pretty surprised with only 25 laps on their tires that the entire field came in and pitted behind them. So very, a hopeless and lonely feeling here for the 67.
Very much so. We'll update for more drivers that have decided to call it a night. We already talked about that of Benjamin Nelson and Aaron Crawley calling it a night. Well, newest driver to be added to that list, Bob Skinner in the 82, as Bob Skinner and as well Aaron Crawley caught up in that second caution of the day. As the field is stacked up, ready to get back to rolling, it's a 27 lap difference between the 67 and the rest of the field. Let's see how Larry can hold off. Does he have enough tires? Or will he just be a sitting duck going backwards? Time will tell as we're in the final quarter of the semi-pro sim racer Shootout 200 at Bristol. Here we go as they roar into turn number 1.
Really strong jump there for Larry Yingling, and it looks like, I think Ross Tatum may have taken 2 tires here, Sam, so he may have a little bit of a cushion.
A little bit of a cushion, and I can confirm 2 tires did go to the 21, allowing him to advance up to 3rd place now. John Forbes, fresh rubber, inside lane to Larry Yingling, and the pass being made for the lead. And the 67 was able to hold off for at least a lap. It was the second where the 11 made the move.
Yeah, I'm honestly really impressed that he's held on as long as he has, Sam. He's going to fall back to second right now, and there's some more new tires coming up behind him. But Ross Tatum's going to be working on him for second on the inside.
And Ross Tatum taking 2 tire strategies, the only driver to take that type of a gamble. And that is a major one. And oh no, they stack up into one another. And yellow flag strikes as the field stacks up. They're able to get back to straight in what could have been a massive collision and a full track clog up. They somehow make it just minimal damage.
I'm in shock here, Sam. That was honestly the cleanest looking wreck at Bristol I may have ever seen. It looks like Brian P. Johnson, just got into the throttle. We talked about Larry Yingling being on those little older tires. So, Brian P. Johnson trying to go and just got back in the throttle a little too soon and got in the back of the 67 here.
I mean, there were a count of 4 different vehicles that were sideways in some fashion. They should have been a racetrack clogging wreck, but instead you see 1, 2, 3, 4 sideways, and they straighten it out off the exit, and that's all that happened. And they're able to keep their track position on top of that incident.
Yeah, that's really impressive. I don't think I've ever seen that at Bristol in my life, whether it be iRacing or real life, Sam. I mean, they almost all kind of straightened each other out. It looked like they kind of ran over each other, and then the last car in there kind of knocked everyone back into position. Everyone did a really good job hanging on to it.
And with that yellow, Chris Stitt's going to be back on the lead lap as he grabs the lucky dog spot. And as well, it's going to be seeing Larry Yingling into pit road, the lone driver who's just going to have a measly 5 laps, maybe 3 laps of green flag racing. And now going to have to go all the way to that of 27th position to 26th position and start in the middle of this pack. That is a tough pill to swallow for Larry Yingling, who was looking like one of the favorites to win here tonight.
It's an extremely tough pill to swallow there, Sam. I mean, Larry Yingling was one of our dominant drivers tonight, and unfortunately, not really a fault of his own, just kind of circumstance of being the leader and everyone kind of playing the opposite hand of what you were going to do. Got run over a little bit right there, and now he's going to come and take his tires, and he's got a really, really steep hill to climb if he's going to try to get back into this thing with only about 40 laps left.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be a tough one, but if anyone could do it, it would be the 3-time champ of Larry Yingling, who has won 3 times in the past, the one last season, and then also won in season 2 and 3 of the WSSR series. We'll see if he can get back up front for a chance. Could there be a massive wreck that gives an opportunity? We will find out. As up front, John Forbes, Ross Tatum, Cole Sketty, Brian P. Johnson, and Ollie Fonseca going to be your front runners. Nolan Hicks going to be up to 6th with Douglas Newbigging in 7th. 8th, we got Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter 9th, and Christopher Norris. Haven't talked about the 38 at all here tonight. He's been just outside of the top 15 or top 10. 38 just cracks the top 10 now.
Yeah, the 38 was one of those cars that got involved in one of those early incidents tonight, Sam, and he's been able to battle his way back to 10th, so, don't sleep on Christopher Norris either.
I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who's been watching with us. Thank you for spending your Wednesday night with us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Again, my name is Sam Dyer. Joining me was that of Joshua Altas and having Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. You're watching the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Tonight's race is only race number 6. Next couple that are coming up, Legacy, Texas, the 2009 configuration, North Wilkesboro, and Sonoma. So we got a wide range of different styles of racetracks to get ready for, and these drivers are ready to go green for the semi-pro sim racer Shootout 200 at Bristol, and John Forbes is already gassing it up, taking off as the 11, and it's side by side for 2nd place.
Yeah, really good launch again by Forbes there, and looks like Brian P. Johnson's going to move up to 2nd. I'm interested to see, Sam. He's got a little bit of damage on that right rear quarter panel. I don't think it's going to harm him here being a short track, but something to keep an eye on.
I mean, he was part of that incident that ran into Larry Yingling and then got ran over on the rear end. And moving up to 3rd, Nolan Hicks. What a power move as we're riding on board with the 86. Biggest mover right now. Qualified in 26th position up to 3rd. And behind this 86 machine, a little bit of clogged up action. It's the 21 of Ross Tatum starting to go backwards. So 2-tire call is starting to backfire.
Yeah, it was a good call. Again, if there's different strategies, but with most guys taking 4 tires here, there's really only so much you can do.
Update on Larry Yingling, trapped back in 26th position, not able to move forward, and there's a wreck further on back. Try to find out who brought out the spin, and it's the 08 of Brian with an I Johnson, spun around.
Yeah, Brian Johnson, his 2nd incident of the night. His Bristol race is not going how he was hoping tonight, so 2nd incident for Brian Johnson tonight.
And it'll look to be a contact between the 08 and the 16. Kind of driving for nothing between the two. And just a little bit of lack of awareness for both drivers, and contact was made. You're going to be seeing it here. This is what brought out our most recent yellow 16. Working on the outside. And Brian, I don't think was expecting that closing rate. Came up a little too late on the reaction time and pinched the 16 into the wall. And that's what spun the 08 around and bringing out our most recent yellow.
Yep, I think that's exactly what it was, Sam. Looks like Joshua Kanana just had a really, really strong momentum run there, and I don't think Brian Johnson realized he was going to be there as fast as he was, and just came up into him there.
And as these drivers getting ready to make the call, do you want to go inside, outside? Where do you feel the most comfortable? We haven't talked to a driver. Let's give it a try, though, to our leader of John Forbes, see how he's feeling as we send him to the waiting room and see if he's ready to get queued up. 11 of John Forbes, it's Sam and Josh up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, John, you got up front. You've been staying up front. The strategy called stay out on track while Larry for you to go into pit road while Larry stays out on track has worked out. How are you feeling with this vehicle so far tonight?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Keeping the lead is very important. Like even on that other run, I'm sure you guys saw, like the leader, no matter what percentage their tires were at, you go to the inside and you can't get around them. So as long as we can stay up here, keep the lead, if we get any more pit stops here, I think we'll be sitting pretty good.
John, are you planning on staying out the rest of the way here if we keep getting cautions, or you think you'll see pit road one more time?
You know, we'll see what happens here, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. It just depends how many laps we go. But you know, if we get one more caution, it's definitely going to be something we think about.
Well, John, we're going to send you back to your team. Good luck on this restart, and hopefully we'll be talking to you at the end of the night.
All right, thank you guys.
As that's going to be 11 of John Forbes on Larson Line Racing. That team's been doing pretty well here tonight. Been up front majority of the time, but it's only the 11 that's been able to survive and stay up front in the lead position. And I gotta say here, Josh, I mean, it's gonna be interesting on what the calls are made if we do get that second caution in another 10 laps or so, because that could be a gutsy move if you see everyone from 10th or on back, or maybe even 6th on back coming to pit road.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think at this point in the race, track position is going to be king. So, you know, you heard John talk there. You know, he wants to keep the lead. He wants to keep the trap position. So, but like you said, Sam, if we go another 10, 15 laps, it's going to be decision time again. And is that an opportunity for Larry Yingling to work his way back into things? Because he's mired all the way back in, what'd you say, 25th or something right now? So 26th position. I mean, it's... You know, and he restarted 27th, so he really hasn't gone anywhere. So I think if you're Larry, you're hoping for some more carnage, maybe some more strategy opportunities. The 11, he wants to keep the strat position as much as he can.
Well, the field is stacked up, ready to take off. It's going to be the 11 of John Forbes on the outside, the control vehicle. Brian P. Johnson, Season 1 champion, going to be starting on the inside. Welcome to the restart. It's time to get rolling as we've got ourselves a little bit over 30 laps to go, and John Forbes with the takeoff. Nick Crawford going to be side by side for second place. Here we go as the exit at turn number 2.
Another fantastic launch for Forbes, and now it's Nick Crawford, who is going to be challenging Brian P. Johnson for second here, and he's got the preferred line.
Got the preferred line and going to be seen. The drivers tackling as quickly as they can. Each pass so critical. And if you're on the inside, you've got to move up as fast as you can. Otherwise, you're going to be losing position after position. Unless you start to see maybe a chain reaction that can clog up the outside lane. But right now, they are rolling as Ross Tatum finally finds that slot to just keep on moving forward. The two tires, they are giving a fight right now.
Yeah, I think Ross may be okay right now with the amount of, you know, heat cycles these tires have been through now.
Trouble. Going to be on the front stretch. Larry Yingling, Danny Cochran, and others spun around. Jonathan Coxwell brings out the yellow as the 67 and the 2 got very on top of one another off the exit of 4, and it went from bad to worse. And once again, could have been a catastrophic wreck for a lot of drivers. They're able to spin each other out and keep it straight, but the yellow has to be thrown.
Yeah, I don't know what happened for sure. I'm going to say the 60. Oh, no. Wow. It's looked like the 2 of Danny Cochran tried to jump up on the top side. And wow. Yeah, that was a very, very aggressive move to come to the top there. And Larry Yingling had a whole head of steam coming and just got in the back of him there.
I mean, this is what happens when you put fast drivers in the back where some guys just aren't used to it. There's the contact that gets around the 27. That is exact at that point. That's when the yellow flag came out. So if Coxwell was never spun, it would not have been a yellow flag. They were still running fast enough and got straightened out quickly enough to stay green. But bang bang moves. Once you lose the rear end, you're going around. And I mean, for these drivers deeper in the field, like I said, when you've got fast drivers that are trying to make their way forward, it's bound to happen that we're going to see some of these wrecks because drivers are just on top of one another trying to make some quick passes, and it just can backfire in an instant. But we talked about if a quick yellow came out, how is that going to change drivers' perspectives on coming into pit road? Well, couple of drivers furthest up. Shane Terrian in 17th position decided to come into pit road. A couple of others following in suit. Not as much as you would think to hit pit road, but hey, fresh rubber, let's see if it gives them a better opportunity to move up.
Yeah, I think your bed's made at this point, Sam. If you've chosen to stay out now, 25 laps to go. Whether we run them green or yellow, they're going to tick off the board here, and I just don't think you're going to have enough time and enough tire difference to really make a huge difference at this point. So I think you've kind of made your bed at this point.
In this race, as we've crest over what was the most cautions here at Bristol. Previous record was back in season 5. Last time they ran here with 8 cautions. Now we've crest to that 9th. These drivers here, I mean, I gotta say, we did have a decent long green flag run for a bit there in the first half of the race. We got that chaotic 3-4 wide at times. I mean, that was the most dramatic things got. Thought it was going to cool down for a bit, but now it's in that crunch moment. End of the race, got to scrap and claw for every position possible because everyone, it's time for the gladiators to come out. Who's going to get each position? And for Larry Yingling, because of all the drivers that pitted, he's now up to 20th. Not as many positions I think he hoped to grab, but at least he's moved forward a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, what he didn't need was that incident, obviously. And, before we saw the replay, my bet was going to be that he had gotten into somebody just because of pure frustration being back there and trying to move forward, but it actually wasn't. It was the 2 sliding up in front of him, and he just really had nowhere to go at that point. So, I'm sure he's frustrated right now. He's had a really, really fast car. He's back in 20th, so he's just going to try to make up as much ground as he can before this race is over.
I think if anything we can take away from these first 6 races of the season is track position is so crucial. It does not matter what track we're at. You want to be up front as much as you can. And the strategy calls of taking tires, maybe it's not always the key unless you get that full field swappage of what we saw that kind of forced Larry to the back. Pace car is off. Let's get ripping and rolling as we're almost 20 laps to go here at Bristol. Green flag is out. The outside lane gets rolling. It's John Forbes with as well of Ross Tatum, but big wreck. Drivers stacking up as they enter turn 1.
Yeah, that didn't take long at all now, Sam, and we're in that crunch time now where we're going to start seeing some really, really aggressive driving. Cautions breed cautions, so we'll see what happened right here.
Look to be Ken Campbell. Some other drivers of Thomas Waltz are trying to get rolling, but I think Christopher Norris, who's in front of this group, might have been in the wrong gear, as everyone else takes off and 38 did not.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It looked like he was just in the wrong gear there, and it kind of checked up that whole inside line, and just more of an accordion wreck, Sam, where something happened in front and these guys weren't ready.
And unfortunately for Christopher, this is not the first time it's happened this week. He's been kind of a lapse of what gear he's in sometimes in previous races he's had in official races, and now it's translated here tonight. Didn't hurt the 38, but it put some of the other drivers behind him in some spots they did not want to be in. Quick spins as there were multiple different spots, but with this yellow, it now is going to put us past 20 laps to go. They are running out of time, but we do have overtime if needed. We got 3 attempts at green-white checkers if there is a yellow within 5 laps to go in our official 200 laps. So I think for the field, they are, I don't know, for some of them are hoping to go into overtime, or some are just hoping they can survive to the end of this race and just get it done in the first 200.
My guess is John Forbes is hoping we're not going to overtime, Sam, but anyone behind him I think would be okay with that, because it gives him one last shot to have a shot at him here. But credit to John Forbes, he has been masterful on these restarts so far, Sam. I mean, every time we've watched the launch, and I think that's just the advantage of being the leader and being able to fire off first. I mean, we've seen him pull multiple car lengths in front of the field here, so I don't know how much of a shot these guys would actually have at him on a green-white checkered unless he made some kind of mistake.
Yeah, it seems like the outside lane, you've got to be that 4th car, which is now going to be Brian P. Johnson. If he can get a good launch and keep up with the 11, he might be the driver to really watch out for on this go. As you got to also see Brian Noel getting another lap back. The 77 has been trapped 3 laps down for majority of the night. The 77 now just 1 lap down, so if another quick caution comes out, 77 is not involved. Brian Noel will be back on the lead lap, and the field about to get ready to take off. As also said at the top of the broadcast, it's kind of beginning of a trilogy for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We have tonight's Bristol race for the WSSR, then tomorrow night for the Stars and Stripes Gen 4 at Bristol once again. So if you're loving this action here tonight, get ready for more of it tomorrow. And then we'll be off for the weekend. We'll be right back Monday night. ISRC Truck Series, they're at Bristol as well. It's going to be your trilogy of Bristol races that we're about to get set and ready for. So get ready. Who is going to have this thing down? Because right now it looks like John Forbes is feeling the most confident up front. But will that confidence continue on this restart?
I think it's going to take a bump, Sam. I really, truly do. We'll see who's willing to maybe drive a little bit more aggressive, but I don't see anyone being able to get by him completely clean here. So is it Brian P. Johnson that's going to be willing to lay the bumper to him? I guess we'll find out.
That we will. I know a question out in the chat questioning who's got the fastest time. I believe Nolan Hicks has the fastest lap of the race. As green flag is out for the semi-pro sim racer shootout 200, and the 11 shot out of cannon once again, but a block by Nick Crawford, not allowing the 28 to make the move. The 74 is in that second position.
Yeah, Brian P. Johnson did not quite get the launch that he was wanting, and Nick Crawford's going to be able to squeeze up in the second position there and have a chance to try to run John Forbes down here.
As everyone's squeezing against one another, you can see the pack. Everyone's scrapping as we're coming up to 15 laps to go. If you're going to make a pass, you got to make it now, but a caution flag waves his contact the back half. It's Devin Brock spun around for the 91. And other drivers in the back half of the field didn't want to be involved with this wreck, but it looks like another late move to the outside and squeezing a driver and getting spun out for it.
It's just classic short track racing, Sam. I mean, it's very popular. We see this in iRacing as well as real life. I mean, the pay window opens, we get down to it, so we take a replay to see what happened here.
It's just such a late blocking move to the outside. I mean, I get when you try to move up on the exit, but you're halfway through the straightaway. I know it's really quick to make that move, but it's been so fast and your reaction time has to be on point every single move, and we've been seeing tonight. Sometimes it's just a one-off second, and you're going to be caught up in a wreck.
I mean, that's exactly it, Sam. If you're off by just a second, I mean, you're going to pay for it here. We've seen it multiple times tonight where guys are trying to come up and kind of block that outside lane, and it's too late by the point they decide to do it.
Well, as these quick cautions have been coming out and having our Larry Yingling update, where's the 67? Only able to move up 3 spots from the last time we talked about him 2 caution ago, up to 17th. It's not looking good that Larry's going to get back into the fight unless there's a major wreck up front and the 67 isn't involved. I think that might be the only time that we could be seeing Larry with a chance to win here tonight. It could just be based off of our top 6 on who can catch up to John Forbes, or will there be a bump that goes wrong?
And I want to go ahead and give a shout out while we're right here, Sam. Ross Tatum running P4 had to start on pit road tonight. He took the 2-tire strategy. Looked like he could have, he was about to get eaten up on one of those restarts, but we've had so many cautions now where the tire cycles have kind of started to even out now. He's up in 4th place, so not necessarily a winning move for Ross Tatum, but a really, really great move to get up inside the top 5 and have a really solid day after the beginning of the race. Who knew how he was going to end up?
Yeah, and then when you restart in 4th, we've been seeing it almost all night long. I think the last restart maybe wasn't the best showing of it, but if you're in 4th place, you're usually fighting for 2nd, or you get 2nd immediately going on the exit of turn 2. So if we see Ross get a great restart here, could be seeing that 21 be the driver to fight for the win on this next restart. Thank you again so much for joining with us. Our last shout out of the amazing sponsors here at the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series, that being Roasted Gems Coffee. Go head over to roastedgems.com. I know it's been a long race, but hey, if you want to wake up tomorrow refreshed and ready for the day with your premium quality coffee, go order from Roasted Gems Coffee right now, and remember to use the promo code WSSR for 5% off. And we've seen some big wrecks. I think people are wanting some trophies for their wreck predictions in chat. Well, Remember to go get your custom trophy from Trophy Smack using the promo code WSSR Cup. That's WSSR CUP all together for 10% off on getting your custom trophy, ring, belt, or more from TrophySmack.com. Well, the drivers are stacked, ready to get rolling. It's going to be a 10-lap shootout. The question is, can we stay green for those 10 laps, or will we see another quick caution for ourselves? Let's find out. Pace car's about to pull off the pit road, and the semi-pro sim racer shootout 200 at Bristol is into the restart zone, and we're back to green flag action here at Bristol. And the outside lane went the inside lane, snoozed, and from that of 6th on forward, and oh no, they start piling in badly here.
Yeah, that whole start, Sam. Nick Crawford spun his tires really bad on the bottom there, and yeah, from about 6th, 7th on back, somebody got turned, and we had our big one.
Yeah, it looked to be Isaiah Sutherland into Ollie Fonseca, and that was the initial catalyst of the wreck. Again, they were trying to slow down because of the inside row not going, and looking at the wreck from an outside point of view, it looked like Ollie Fonseca was trying to give space for that wreck, for the wheel spin, but everyone else behind the 24 not prepared for the restart and jumped it, and it went wrong badly. As you get to see a version of this, you see the 24 trying to give space. Isaiah Sutherland didn't, and away they went.
Oh, yeah. See the 24 get spun around, more contact. Wow, the 77 comes flying in there late. Just one of those chain reaction things, and I think it all started on that inside line there, Sam, when Nick Crawford spun his tires, kind of checked everybody up. 24 was trying to give space, like you said, and everyone else just kind of ran into him from behind.
As the 24 tries to get his position back, as he'll be falling into 17th spot. This caution now is going to be putting us in a weird spot for this end restart. Now that we're inside of 10 to go and that yellow flag came out, this could be putting us in a position of 5 to 4 laps to go, which means if we have another quick caution, it will put us into overtime, where John Forbes, the leader, looks to be in the best control to get the win if we get into a 2-lap shootout.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but I believe we have 3 attempts at a green-white checkered as well, so...
That we do. 3 attempts, if needed, in overtime.
So, this could go even further than just one overtime with how some of these guys are racing right now. And, I get it. It's the end of the race. Everyone has been fighting hard all night. You're trying to maximize your day, even if it's not for the win. If you're 12th, you want to finish 10th. If you're 10th, you want to finish a little further ahead. So everyone's got their own battles. They're trying to, get the most out of their night here.
Well, one driver that has really taken advantage of the helpfulness of this one race. The admins were unsure of how chaotic Bristol was going to turn into, so they gifted the field a fast repair. It was a 1 reset. If you were caught up in a bad wreck, come into pit road, fully repair your car just 1 time. You don't have to wait for your optional or required damage. Pull into pit road, boom, you're out in an instant. And Brad Delph has really utilized that second chance. The 6 is up to 8th place, and you think back to earlier in the race, he was caught up in that first initial wreck where he had got major front-end damage, had to pull it into pit road, and now he's inside the top 10. Who knows? Because he's going to be on the outside, could be gaining even more positions on this restart.
Yeah, that is huge for the 6 of Brad Delph. I mean, he absolutely clobbered, I believe it was the 0-1 that was sitting backwards on against the outside wall, and Brad Delph, at a normal race that would have ended his race, but because of the fast repair, he's back in it and could get a great finish tonight.
Another driver given a second chance. That is Brian Noel back on the lead lap. We've got ourselves a total of 29 drivers on the lead lap. But up front, John Forbes has been the lead driver for the majority of this last stint. These final 50 laps have been all the 11. And let's see if it can continue in that pattern. We're stacked up. We're ready to get rolling. Another restart. Will we need overtime? Let's find out, as we're back to green flag action. Ross Tatum keeping it very close. Should keep this second place spot, but he wants to fight for the lead on the inside.
Yeah, really strong start by Ross Tatum on the bottom, but I don't think it's going to matter. Unfortunately, the 11 is in position, and he's just pulling away here.
Pulling away is going to be John Forbes, going to be having just a car length ahead. Ross Tatum fighting closely. 3 laps to go, but a caution flag waves, and it's back half of the field. Drivers caught up in it, and we will be heading to overtime.
Yeah, probably not what the 11 wanted to see here. He had a really good start. I know it's probably not what Ross Tatum wanted to see either. Had a really, really great start and kind of had a chance to hang with the 11 here. Now they're going to have to do it all over again.
Still trying to find out where the wreck was, and believe it's here by the 25 of Kaufman. Loses the rear end, gets clipped, spun around, and that will be the yellow flag that brings us into overtime. Overtime attempt number 1 for tonight's race. We have 3 if needed. And I gotta say, Josh, this is not looking good for back half of the field. But this has given, again, options for those that maybe were hoping for a second chance to fight forward.
Yeah, I think, generally speaking, if you're a little closer to the front, anywhere in the top 10 that you can kind of start on the outside and maybe try to gain a spot or two, it's kind of helping those guys because you're kind of leapfrogging through the field a little bit. If you can pick up 1 or 2 spots and then catch a caution, have another restart, maybe try to grab 1 or 2 more spots, but it's hard to get in a rhythm when you got cautions coming out every couple laps here.
Certainly has been major, incredible stories to touch on. Nolan Hicks started back in 26th position. Once he's cracked into the top 10, he has stayed in the top 10. Currently running in 5th place for the 86 machine. Brad Delphi just touched on our last restart. Using the fast repair, and is the highest runner of one of those that had to use their fast repair. The other highest actually was the 21 of Ross Tatum, who used the fast repair, felt like there was a little bit too much damage earlier in the race, used that fast repair, took the 2 tires. The 21 is still in the fight.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if John Forbes changes up his restart here at all. He's done phenomenal all night, but I think that was probably the closest anyone's hung with him on that restart. So Ross did a really good job kind of timing the restart there and being able to slide up, maintain the 2nd position. And, we'll see if he can do it again and try to apply some pressure to the 11.
Trying to put the pressure on, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to overtime. Officially, we are here. This is what the rules of overtime is. It is a 2-lap shootout once we go back to green flag racing. If we finish the first lap and the white flag is out, we will finish out the race, and the race will become official. The next wrecks that happen after they cross the line for the white flag will not bring out a yellow flag. But under the first lap, if there is a yellow flag thrown, we will go into attempt number 2. And if the similar thing happens in attempt number 1, like it did in attempt number 2 with the yellow flag on the first lap, we'll head into attempt number 3. Attempt number 3, there's some slightly different rules, but we're hoping we can finish out this race before then. Josh, as we're about to stack up and get ready for this restart, any final thoughts before we start overtime officially here?
I mean, I think it's been a great race overall, Sam. We saw a little bit of everything at the beginning. We saw different tire strategies. We saw really, really solid 3 and 4 wide racing, very competitive, a lot of talent, and it's kind of just turned into one of those short track races at the end here. We've had a lot of cautions in the last 50 laps or so. So unfortunately for Larry Yingling, the strategy got flipped on him, and John Forbes looks to be the one that might be able to take advantage here.
Hoping to take the advantage. Well, this is our first attempt at overtime. Pace cars pulling off the semi-pro sim racer shootout 200. About to get underway into the restart zone. Equal on the restart, but John Forbes with a slight advantage as they head down into turn number 1. The 11 feeling confident for himself. Ross Tatum falling back just slightly. And it's the 28 of Brian P. Johnson to the outside, but they wreck, and we're going to attempt number 2.
Attempt number 2, and oh man, another really, really good restart there by Ross Tatum. I mean, he's hanging with the 11, but John Forbes had just such the momentum in the launch that even if as these cautions are coming out, I'm sure it's frustrating to John Forbes, but he's got such an advantage as we see what happened here.
Watch out for the 9 machine on the outside. Gonna lift up the rear end of the 18 of James Heater right into that of Brandon Zimmerman, and nowhere to go for neither of them as they're sideways, drifting up back into the field, hoping not to collect any other drivers, and it's a hold your breath, hope for the best, and some not able to get through.
Yeah, to me, that just looked like a pure frustration move by Shane Tyrion there. Running into the back of someone there in the closing laps. We don't like to see that, but understandable. Bristol, we talk about tempers all the time and managing tempers, and when we get down to the end of these things into overtimes, I think everyone's pretty much run out of patience at this point.
I think also it doesn't help that Shane is on the freshest tires compared to everyone in front of him. He's got a 27 lap advantage of tires over the rest of that group. And so he just had better acceleration off the exit, and James Heater didn't. And that just was a bang-bang play off the exit of the corner. What we've been seeing all night long is that type of a wreck, as drivers just running into one another late into these really late off the exit of the corner has been where these wrecks have been happening. But for tonight, we are now officially in overtime attempt number 2. Just like overtime attempt number 1, if we get a caution on the first lap, we will go into attempt number 3. But if we get the white flag, the race will conclude on whoever can cross the line first. And looking like John Forbes is the driver to watch out for. Brian looked fast, but sadly, he's now going to be restarting in 3rd on the inside. It's now Cole Sacchetti who'll be starting in 4th.
Yeah, it's Cole. I'm guessing the 11's probably going to take the top again, so that's going to put Cole Sacchetti in a really good position here. If Cole can somehow time the restart with the 11, might give the 42 a shot here.
As with the 42, Cole Sacchetti qualified 2nd. He was fighting for a lead position for those first 25 laps, but then got held off, dropped back, was caught in the conveyor belt on the inside lane, and fell to around 8th or 9th. Really wasn't able to move forward. Now is back into the fight for a win potentially here. Again, we are in our 2nd attempt at overtime. Another green-white checkered. If the caution flag comes out on this first lap, we will then go into attempt number 3. But if we get the white flag, we race it out. It's all about who crosses the line first. John Forbes is going to be the lead driver. He has been leading for the last almost 60 laps for himself. He's been really strong on these restarts, which has been the key. We're stacked up. Here we go, Josh. One more time, potentially here tonight.
Yeah, one more time potentially, right? We've got an opportunity for possibly one more time after this, but we'll see if these guys can make it around to the white flag. John Forbes, just do what you've been doing, right? Get through the gears clean, get a good clean start. Ross Tatum, he's been kind of, anticipating the start the last 2. We'll see if he can do it again for the 3rd time.
Seeing the 08 blasted by on the inside lane. Got to get past everyone quickly. Kind of odd to see a late movement there, but we're hoping that doesn't going to cause any more issues as the pace car pulls off. Potentially the last restart of the night. 2nd attempt at overtime is back underway.
Ross Tatum again got a really good restart. He's almost side by side with the 11, but I think Forbes is going to have to run. They're side by side, Sam.
Side by side, John Forbes is hoping that this race can stay green. Ross Tatum wants to get another chance at this. Exit of 4. We're going to keep it white for the Roasted Gems white flag. Ross Tatum needs one more good opportunity, but John Forbes with a better exit off of 2. The 11 comfortable where he's at it, side by side for 2nd place. The last dive, the last opportunity, but John Forbes holds on. The 11 wins race number 6.
Really, really good job by John Forbes there. Ross Tatum had a great restart, gave him a run for his money, but the 11 was just too strong on the high side. John Forbes gets it done tonight at Bristol.
Top 3 put on a show, but finishing 4th and 5th, Nolan Hicks and Brad Delphin, the 6 machine, moved up to get 5th place, gets a top 5 for himself. Congratulations to them both, but John Forbes fights and claws and repping for the ISRC Truck Series. The 11 going to get into victory lane and be our 6th different winner this season and lock in a ticket into the playoffs.
Man, what a race, Sam. I know it was a little long there at the end with just so many cautions stacking up, but man, what a great race overall. And John Forbes did a great job. He got the trap position. He stayed out front. He had many restarts that he had to conquer and do perfectly, and he's the one that gets it done tonight. 6 different winners.
6 different winner, and what makes this one even more important is the fact that John Forbes coming into the night was 30th in points. He had only shown up for 2 races before coming into the night. He had provisionals that set him up for a chance, and this win could bump him up into the top 25 in points, and with a win, that locks him into the playoffs, and the 11 gets to enjoy this one. We will step away when we come back. We got the post-race show where we'll talk John Forbes, Cole Sketty, Ross Tatum, and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series. Tonight was a big one for some of these drivers that had some poor nights. Others had massive ones. And the one that got the best of it all was the 11 of John Forbes being the winner of the Semi-Pro Sim Racer Shootout 200 at Bristol. We got the 11 with us. John, congratulations on the win. Talked about trying to get those restarts, got it done, and you're now in victory lane. How are you feeling after this one?
It feels great. I was pretty much going to need a win to get into the playoffs, I'm pretty sure. I was sitting like 30th or something coming in here with the races I've missed. So came in here with the mentality that I could get it done. It's always been a good track for me. And just the race got underway and we went right to the front. That's kind of where we stayed.
Well, John, congratulations, man. We talked to you with about, I don't know, 30, 40 laps to go and asking you how you were feeling. Man, did you think that you were gonna have to go through as many restarts as you did? And were you nervous at all? It looked like Ross got a pretty good jump on you those last couple. How are you feeling with all those restarts?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have liked it to go green. It's a little bit nerve-wracking sitting there with all those pace laps. Just hoping that the guy next to you doesn't get the start correctly. And Ross did a pretty good job. He got me the last like 3. He had a pretty good shot, but he just couldn't get through the gears fast enough and didn't have the grip like the outside does. So I wasn't too worried about it. Once we got into the corner, I was able to just get that run off the top, and the top was just so dominant tonight. There wasn't much you could do. They really just had to make a mistake on the outside, get into the wall, or check up too much. It was kind of the only way you could pass. So just it's a lot of confidence knowing you got the first car on the outside there, and there's not much the field can do besides just take you out, or yeah, there's really nothing.
I mean, John, there were a lot of different moments. So we could talk about the when you were going through all the lap traffic early in the race and you made the pass on Larry during that point. But let's go back to the pit stop that gave you the lead when Larry Yangling didn't come into pit road and you pulled in. Were you expecting to see the whole field follow you to come into pit road, or were you kind of shocked by that moment?
I mean, it could have gone either way. I knew I had like my teammates were all coming in, and little alliances we had going on, so I knew we were all coming in, and we'd at least have about 5, 6 cars in there. Um, but it did have a little bit of a run before that, and I was able to see what Nick did on the first run. A couple other guys, like they went from the back straight to the front during that run. So yeah, just coming in, I was definitely relieved when I saw so many people follow, and then. I'm not sure which pit stop it was, but Danny was doing a really good job, and he got me off on that one. Then the next one he sped, so that was kind of my lucky moment of the night. But we'll take it, and yeah, it's a fun track.
You become our 6th different winner of the season, John. Congratulations on that. And now the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank all the friends and family watching, all the sponsors, JDA Performance Mods, Bosla Auto Lighting, and Block Tech for joining us on board this season. I was able to give them a good run tonight. I just want to thank you guys for putting these on. I can't wait to go watch it later.
Well, that is going to be the 11 machine of John Forbes getting the win done. Congratulations, and good luck next week at Texas.
Thank you guys.
Well, from victory lane, let's go down to second place, where driver had to fight for everything at moments, but ultimately came away in second. We got Cole Sketty with us. Cole, you had a pretty much up and down night for yourself. You come away second at the end of the day. Man, how are you feeling after your performance this evening?
Starting to feel like the bridesmaid here instead of the bride, I guess I would say. Definitely a tough fought race there. Couldn't do anything on the bottom. So honestly, I feel like we had the car to win tonight. But yeah, we'll take second place. I think I got a bonus point for leading a lap too. So that was cool. We'll definitely keep racking off those top fives, and I told my team there we're definitely knocking on the door for a win here. So just got to keep the pressure on, and it'll come when it comes here.
Yeah, Cole, great run again tonight, man. It kind of similar question to last week. It seems like it's kind of been feast or famine for you across some of these leads. So I'm sure it feels great to get some momentum rolling here in the WSSR Cup Series. But just talk about how important the trap position was tonight at Bristol, because it seemed like whoever could just get out front and get on that outside was kind of the one to beat.
Yeah, it definitely didn't play out like traditional Bristol races you would race in like Xfinity or like Cup or even Truck. Like the high side was way more dominant and didn't burn off tires as much as you would think, which I was kind of surprised about. But towards the end of that first run there, like when we had the longer run, I started running the bottom again, and just took a lot of patience down there when the tires did wear off to try to get some track position. So that was cool. I feel like if we could have got a long run, definitely we were going to be the car to beat there. But yeah, restarts to track position was insane. I'm sure you guys were watching the pylon there, but I can't tell you how many times I restarted on the inside, and I lost them as 2 spots, 3 spots every time trying to fight back up to the high side. But yeah, it was cool. It was a fun race. I've just lucked out there at the end, getting the high side both times, and yeah, like I said, we'll take the second there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great salvageable day for how kind of poorly it was going there, like you said, for those restarts and being on the inside. But from tonight, what can you take away maybe to the future races that we're heading towards?
Um, I don't know. It's been rough right now, right? Because like I wish we could get a long enough run where we could see where everybody plays out. I think that's the tough part in this league right now, right? Especially with us coming from Tuesday nights where we do get long runs, and I mean, it's not knocking anybody. We're going to hard tracks, and this car is tough to beat, or tough to run rather. So it's not knocking anybody saying, anybody doesn't have any skill and we can't go green. But I think we just need to go to a track where we can get more spread out. And I think if we get into it where we can, do a long run, I think I'll be in good space here. But we'll just have to keep taking each week as it is, and like I said, keep racking off the top 5 and going from there.
You've been doing just that, and looks like points have been updated. You're going to be finding yourself third in points. That consistency certainly puts you in a pretty solid spot there, Cole. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Definitely a huge shout out to you guys first up in the booth. Always putting on a great show. Wish I could do the same for you guys on Tuesdays, but it'll come around. We're working some things out here, so definitely just got to be a little bit more patient on Tuesdays. But anyway, so yeah, huge shout out to you guys. Huge shout out to everyone here at WSSR, all the sponsors. Huge shout out to my team over at Storm Motorsports, Ken Campbell, Chris Stitz, Chris Wade, and Brandon Colley. And then also a huge shout out to my girlfriend, always supporting me, and my family for watching every week.
Well, that's going to be the 42 of Cole Sacchetti. Congratulations on another second place. We know that win is coming at some point, and good luck next week.
Cheers, boys. Thanks.
Well, from second place, let's go down to third to a driver that had to do kind of the impossible, it felt like. Started on pit road when everyone else was out on track, but comes away with a top 3. We're heading to the 21 of Ross Tatum. Ross, let's go straight to the way that this race started out. What was the mentality? We know you had the penalty where you had to start in pit road. Great qualifying time, and it allowed you to stay up front. But man, what was your mentality for the start of the race to get you to third?
Honestly, man, I was just hoping for an early caution and then maybe flip some strategy. I think it was about lap 30. I actually took tires, and me and the 15, I think, were rolling up through the field pretty good. And I was actually pretty upset that caution came out, because I could have really used about 10 more laps, because I think I would have got to the lead. And once you get the lead here, you're pretty hard to beat, as long as you stay on strategy. So all in all, it was a good night. Maybe starting on pit road actually helped me get my bearings there at the start. But a lot of fun tonight until the end. But other than that, man, good race by everyone.
Yeah, Ross, congrats on the P3 finish, man. Kind of a two-part question for you. The first part, it seemed like that 2 tire strategy was kind of the call of the night for you, able to get some track position. So, first part of the question is, what were you thinking on those last restarts? It looked like you kind of figured out the 11's, launch patterns, and it looked like the last 3 you were able to really hang with them. And then, kind of second part to that question is, you're racing here tomorrow, obviously. Is there anything you can take from tonight and apply for tomorrow?
Yeah, there at the end, the 11 kept going at the same spot. I kind of figured that out. So about 5 restarts into it, I was like, well, he's just going in the same spot. So I was just timing it. And he still did a good job. I mean, he definitely earned the win. He got the track position when he needed it. So he did a good job. But yeah, I was timing it, and I really, I probably could have washed up into him and taken that, but I didn't want to do that. I think I've already made some people mad in this league already this season, so I was trying not to do that. Sorry to the 77, by the way, for running him over. But yeah, on the second part, yeah, this race tonight will definitely get me some reps for tomorrow. Tomorrow's race is going to be really tough. It's just like this league. It's a lot of really good drivers. So that's the main reason I wanted to run tonight and get those reps, so that maybe I have a chance tomorrow. Definitely learned that saving tires maybe doesn't mean anything until about 50 laps. So that's one thing I did learn.
Hey, it's always good to take that knowledge in and get the reps, especially here at Bristol. Well, Ross, before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Appreciate it, guys. I got to thank Will Bustler for painting all my paint schemes. Everyone check out BRD on Trading Paints. He does a really awesome job. Got to thank all the league sponsors, Trophy Smack and Roasted Gems Coffee, all those guys that make this league possible. This league is really tough. It's a lot of really good drivers, a lot of ego. It's definitely one of the toughest leagues I've ever been in. So to finally get a top 10 is really nice. I got to thank Freaky Fast. You guys do such an awesome job. both you, Sam, and Josh, Robert, all you guys are so awesome at your jobs. And, I just look forward to every day when I'm at work, when I got a little bit of time, I just let the YouTube roll and I just listen to the race, and it's just very entertaining. So appreciate everything you guys do, and just everyone watching, and all the league admins. Appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate the fact that you put on a great show for us here tonight. Congratulations, Ross, on a third place finish, and good luck next week at Texas.
Thanks, guys.
Well, from third place, let's move down to fourth. That's going to be our spotlight driver, and also the biggest mover of the race is going to go to Nolan Hicks in the 86. Nolan, congratulations on a top 5 finish, your first top 5 of the season. Man, how are you feeling after this run and climbing through the field like you did here tonight?
Oh, man, I feel great. The first few races have not been good for me. I think like my highest finish was like 19th before I got this top 5. So yeah, definitely tonight was a really like needed like points day.
Yeah, Nolan, congrats on a really strong finish, man. We've been talking about trap position pretty much all night, and you started P26 and ended up P4. So, what was the secret to moving forward so well, and coming home with a strong finish?
Just a lot of luck, man. There was a lot of guys that had problems in front of me, and patience was key. I wasn't really too concerned about getting up to the front very early. I knew I'd always crack the top 10 eventually. But yeah, towards the second half of that race, it was just all about getting the high side on restarts, which was kind of annoying because I kept flip-flopping from bottom to top, and like going from like third place to seventh place. It was really annoying, but yeah, to get fourth place is awesome, man.
And also, Nolan, we saw that you were kind of around some of the wrecks and were involved in some of them. And how was it trying to avoid some of the carnage or just being involved with it?
Yeah, I thought what was it? I think Larry got tapped in the back and we all stacked up and I got a little contact in it. And I thought for a second to like maybe pit for damage, but then, we were inside 50 to go and all track position matters. So it was like no point in getting the damage fixed. Just got to ride it out and see. And the car was never hurt too bad. And it is just, like I said, all about that high side.
It was impressive to see you move up to fourth. Congratulations on your first top 5 finish. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the sponsors and admins for like making this league happen. This league's really, really tough. Got a lot of fast guys in here. Thank you guys in the broadcast booth for broadcasting these races every day. And yeah, man, that's just about it.
Well, that's going to be your fourth place finisher in the 86 machine of Nolan Hicks. Congratulations, Nolan, on your top 5, and good luck next week at Texas.
Thank you.
Well, as we get ourselves done with these interviews, let's get ourselves prepared to take a look at the unofficial results of tonight's race. It was a wild one. We had to use a couple of overtimes to get it done, 2 in total, and it was a 211 laps in total that we ran this evening out of the 200 that was scheduled. And taking the win might not have been on top of everyone's card of taking the victory, but for himself, it was mentally as Racing had circled. John Forbes in the 11 machine will win race number 6. And what's crazy on top of that, our 6th different winner of the season. This field, we've talked about it week in and week out. The competition level is skyrocketing, and some of the most winish drivers in WSSR have yet to win. So expect more winners throughout the season. But second place goes to Cole Sacchetti, Ross Tatum in third, Nolan Hicks fourth. Thank you for joining us up at the booth for an interview. Brad Delp surviving with his fast repair to get 5th. Brian P. Johnson 6th. Isaiah Sutherland saw him fall all the way down to 19th and comes away with a top 10 finish in 7th. Nick Crawford as well surviving. Shane Terrian caught up in some late wrecks but gets 9th. And Douglas Newbigging finish out your top 10.
Yeah, as we look a little past the top 10 here, Christopher Norris, really good recovery. We saw him have a couple incidents tonight. Missed, was in the wrong gear on one of those last restarts, but still finishes 11th. Last week's winner, Brandon College, finishing 12th. Zach Hall had an interesting night. He was up and down, got caught in a lot of reds, but still manages to bring it back to 13th. Danny Cochran was looking strong, finishes 14th. And then as we go a little further back, we see Cedric Hunter finishes 26th. We talked about him being in the top 10, so not quite the night he wanted. Obviously, Larry Yingling finishing 21st. You know, he looked to be one of the cars to beat until the strategy got flipped on him. And then, you know, as we go even further down, Benjamin Nelson finishing 34th. Never really had a chance to get going, and Benjamin's luck, bad luck rather, just seems to continue, Sam.
It really does seem to be, and that 79, luckily, again, has the win at Las Vegas, so chances of making the playoffs are still high. Tonight's race, like we said, a lot of ups and downs, had some big wrecks, potentials at times, major saves, and overall, the unknown struck with John Forbes getting into victory lane. Congratulations to the 11. And if you're not tired of Bristol, well, that's good, because we got 2 more Bristol races in a row to cover on tomorrow night. Stars and Stripes. If you like the Gen 4s and what you saw this evening, got to come back tomorrow night for the Stars and Stripes. Gen 4 Bristol, expecting very similar racing of drivers on top of one another and track position being key, especially for Josh. Josh, you got to see the action. You now get to race it tomorrow night. What is your confidence level looking like for tomorrow's drivers?
I was telling you, Sam, I kind of wish I raced tonight and got to watch tomorrow, because now I'm a little nervous seeing how things went tonight. But I mean, yeah, some takeaways from the race is, you know, you heard the drivers say track position was king tonight. I think about Cole Sacchetti, who is, you know, a pro at Bristol, and you know, saying how much he was surprised that the tire fall off wasn't as bad. So I think track position is going to be important for tomorrow, but yeah, for tonight, we had a little bit of everything, Sam. We had really good racing at the beginning. We saw, you know, the tire strategies kind of play out, and, you know, you could throw a blanket over the top 10 at times, and we had 3 and 4 wide racing and crazy wrecks where guys, you know, ended up saving it even through the wreck, and it ultimately ended up being John Forbes who played the right strategy card at the right time, was able to get out in front, and then when those slew of cautions came out, you know, that's what did it for him. So congrats to John, and it was a great race tonight.
It certainly was, as more action as well as after tomorrow night's coverage. Again, we have the weekend off. We'll be right back to 4 days a week starting on Monday. ISRC Truck Series, they head to Bristol. Tuesday for the Full Send Racing Series. They're going to be heading to Iowa in the Xfinity car, and then we're right back here for WSSR action at Legacy, Texas. Drivers are set up, they're prepared, and they are excited for the Legacy, Texas track. A lot of drivers enjoy that track with this vehicle. Should be a blast to watch. One final time, giving out the sponsor shout out. Big shout out to Roasted Gems Coffee for giving you that premium coffee to start your day off right. Seen it in chat, some people have been typing in their favorite blends to start your day off right. Remember to use the promo code WSSR for 5% off when purchasing at roastedgemscoffee.com. And for Trophy Smack, like we said, fantasy football is right around the corner. Also for sim racing, get your custom trophies at trophysmack.com using the promo code WSSRCUP or WSSR Smack at purchase. 10% off for all purchases at Trophy Smack. And man, what a night we got to see. 4 wide at moments, 3 wide, wrecks, saves, it all was here, and a brand new winner in the WSSR Roasted Gems Cup Series was crowned in John Forbes. For tonight, thank you for joining with us. My name is Sam Dyer, as well with that of Joshua Altis, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for being with us on your Wednesday night. We will see you tomorrow for the Stars and Stripes. Who's going to survive at Bristol once again? We'll see on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.